What is it about the clean orange sheen of copper that keeps me coming back? Aside from the many practical uses of copper I've illustrated on this channel before, and its potential as a store of wealth subject to supply and demand, the brilliant shine of a copper round always catches my eye, even if it's a round turned into a ring worn on a finger. But what to do with a bullion round when it's filthy from handling, transporting on your person, or having been dropped somewhere in the Chihuahuan desert? Should you clean it? And if so, tempting at least one negative comment here from the never clean anything that looks even remotely like a coin of value numismatists, how could you not only restore, but potentially preserve the sheen of copper bullion for barter trade well into the apocalypse? Hello, fellow mutants. It's been a long time. I didn't disappear or lose my interest in making copper and survival-themed videos, but I had some changes in my career that have required very long work days. With that said, I will do my best to get regular videos out your way. So, back to copper. Before I begin this video, I'd like to address a concern from numismatists, aka coin collectors, and that is that by cleaning any coin you will reduce its value. No coins were harmed during the creation of this video, though I may from time to time use the word coin incorrectly. It's a good point that you should never clean a potentially valuable coin with face value. I use the term coin in its technical sense, as an approved currency of legal tender that has intrinsic collectability, as opposed to a copper round, which, while it might have a limited run and be collectible copper, is still not considered a coin, but rather as pure copper bullion. Depending on your perspective, that's not a bad thing. I'd rather own pure copper than a copper-nickel alloy or a zinc coin coated with copper. It's just a different classification. Coin value is negatively impacted by cleaning, however, even if it's a horribly tarnished-looking barnacle-encrusted thing. Copper bullion rounds, however, with rare exception, don't have a face value and are generally not collected to be traded in the coin-collecting hobby. I say rare because there are some examples of copper bullion with face value, such as this Tuvalu Titanic, though technically this is no longer a round, but a coin with a value stated implying legal tender. Similarly, you could decide that certain copper rounds within your possession should be treated like coins and not cleaned. I can think of a few rare examples of designs I love that I'd rather just keep sealed away. By sealed away, I mean keeping them away from the elements. Copper will tarnish when exposed to the elements, particularly air, which is why you see it sold in tubes or other containers. I've found that over the course of a few months, I'll see openly stored copper slowly take on a darker orange hue. Perhaps you'd call it a patina, a sort of brown. This is oxidation, or the forming of copper oxide on the surface of the coin or bar. It's not unattractive initially, but depending on how long you have it exposed or how it's handled, you're eventually bound to get a big juicy fingerprint somewhere on it that will tarnish at a different rate, creating a mottled appearance. The design of the round may also be more difficult to make out if your copper becomes overly dark and tarnished. Some designs clearly look better on a brilliant, shiny surface. But how to enjoy viewing or sharing your copper without eventually tarnishing it? One way to enjoy the design of a copper round while not exposing it to the air is to get 1-ounce capsules. These are not always cheap to find, so you may want to be picky about what you use these for, but they have worked well for me. You can search for capsules that are used primarily for 1-ounce silver coins. I buy 39mm capsules. These have worked well for me for most copper bullion rounds that I'd like to preserve. This may not bother most people, but I like the idea also of having my items for apocalypse barter appear at their finest. I don't want my pure copper bullion round to look like a zinc penny that's been in a fountain in an abandoned ball. So you want to give your dull rounds a nice new glow and bring back the fresh look. With solid copper, the shine is right below the surface. So how to get them nice and shiny? It's worth noting that even a brilliant uncirculated specimen of a copper bullion round may already have several scratches even fresh from the tube. I've noticed certain manufacturers produced scratched up copper more than others. Or perhaps it's more about the fact that they leave more open and obvious area without detail. But this manufacturer, for example, recognizable by the particular eagle on the reverse, tends to produce designs with scratches. I may be corrected here if multiple manufacturers use that same design, of course. I'm more likely than most to not really care about a few scratches on my copper, especially for the purpose I have in mind. But if I'm thinking of cleaning the rounds more than once over the course of handling and owning them, one key to maintaining a long-lasting brilliant shine is to avoid creating scratches and micro swirls on the shiny surface. In short, avoid rubbing them with anything. If your copper already has a coating of copper oxide, you'll want to remove that to get to the shine again. Simply rubbing your copper with an oily rag is probably not going to remove all the oxidation, and if you're not careful to use a clean rag, it's more likely to just scratch it up. Using flits, as I've done before, has immediate results, but it also means that you are rubbing the surface and may be inducing micro scratches and swirls. In fact, I'm positive you would be. The damage you do may not be visible for simple visual inspection during a trade, however, and I feel it would end up being more of a positive than a negative. That is, unless you're constantly handling the same coin and cleaning it and wearing it down over time and many cleanings. For the actual cleaning, there are chemical solutions you can use other than flits. I like flits since it can be used on knives and other tools as well, but if you use a microfiber cloth and a light rubbing, the effect is a bit more like an antiquing shine than a full clean, by which I mean it doesn't get down into the lower details. So that part remains brown and retains its patina, and I'm usually okay with that. But if the round has a rough texture design on one side, flits may not be the best solution. No pun intended. Some of the residue may not be easily removed. Easy Zest Coin Cleaner has a quick and dramatic effect. Be careful you don't overdo it. Just hold it by the edges using tweezers, for example, and you'll see the oxidation clear up almost immediately. Lemon juice or even immersing coins in acidic ketchup or hot sauce can do the trick, though I find it tends to lead to some spotting when you use lemon juice. Regardless, if you go with a fluid solution, you'll find some parts of the coin may not clean fully, at least on your first try. As I mentioned, a few other options are available with simple items found around the home or pantry. Vegetable oil, ketchup, a packet of mustard. You can try a few of these in a pinch. I prefer to use solutions designed for the job, but who can say whether I'd have anything like that available to me on the road after grid down? So it's good to know the alternatives. Coin cleaning, however, is only half the battle if you want to keep your coins looking clean and desirable as bullion should. Once you've seen to it that they are nice and shiny, even if they're freshly purchased, if you leave them out and exposed to oxygen, they will eventually begin the process of oxidation, sooner or later. Flits promises protection, but the coins and other copper surfaces I've cleaned with it also eventually do show signs of oxidation, even if they are not physically worn on the person. Once fully cleaned, you have a few options. You can seal the coin away to dramatically slow further oxidation. You can repeat the cleaning process now and then, or you can try a sealing solution, usually used for copper and silver jewelry. This type of solution must be applied carefully to avoid drips forming on the edge of a copper round, but I've done it successfully before after having purchased the solution for a ring. If you want a sack of bullion rounds for your Bugout bag and plastic tubes are too bulky for your needs, you might spend an afternoon dipping a couple dozen of your copper rounds into a solution like this, and then put them away. The sealant should keep them shiny, though heavy use can wear down the sealant, as I've found with my copper ring. Probably the best and cheapest approach is to just keep the copper you buy from a place like Liberty Copper in its original sealed tube and pop it into your backpack. The tube comes free with your purchase at most places you buy copper rounds online if you buy 20 or more. If you want a representative example to enjoy and spin around in your fingers, take one out by slowly removing that annoying security tape. Tape the tube up again and place your copper round into a single coin capsule. Well, that's all I had for today. If you'd like to know what kind of designs I'd suggest for a post-apocalyptic parter, you can take a look at my older videos. Until next time, which I promise won't be as long as last time, it's Copper Mutant, signing out.